This world belongs to the assassins who pull the strings from the shadows. The king everyone believed was long dead. Turns out he's very much alive. Betrayed by his own organization, he was saved by his best friend. That friend paid the ultimate price, sacrificing his life to save him. Now the king returns, but not for power or glory, only for revenge. But fate loves playing twisted games with the most dangerous men. The world's deadliest assassin is forced into a life as a son-in-law, living under his wife's family roof, playing the part of a nobody. The irony, these people call him family, completely blind to the monster among them. They have no clue just how dangerous this man really is. Our story starts deep in the Sahel region of Africa. Night falls, vultures circle under the full moon, creating a haunting underworld vibe. This place is a global hub for the most vicious terrorists. Governments worldwide have blacklisted it. They call it the death zone. Hidden there stands a fortress forged entirely out of cold, hard steel. Two terrorists guard the front entrance, unaware their time is already up. Suddenly, an assassin appears behind one guard, silent as a shadow. He presses a blade to the target's throat and finishes him in a heartbeat. At that exact second, a second assassin slits the other guard's throat. It all happens in less than a single second. The second man drops the head to the ground and turns to the Wolf King. He senses something is wrong, feeling uneasy about the lack of guards. The protagonist, known as the Wolf King, tells him to stay on high alert. The situation feels wrong, way too quiet for a place like this. Wolf King notes the tracker, confirming their objective is right ahead. Wolf King and Red Wolf push the heavy door open, just a crack. They peek inside, only to find the room completely empty. Red Wolf points to an object, telling him that is the target right there. They move forward with extreme caution, making absolutely zero noise. Reaching the crate, they try to pry it open together. They finally crack it open, peering inside with eyes sharp and senses on edge. Along the entrance path, hearing that, our protagonist, known everywhere as the Wolf King, he warns everyone to stay sharp. The situation is off. Something feels wrong, truly suspicious. The Wolf King explains that the target indicator is solid. The item they are hunting is right ahead. Then the Wolf King and Red Wolf push the heavy door open. They peek inside. Turns out, it is just an empty room. Red Wolf points at a specific spot. He says the target is sitting right there. Both of them move forward with extreme caution. Not a sound as they reach for the box they found. They manage to pry it open, eyes locked on the contents. Pure, high-level alertness. Suddenly, Wolf King realizes this was all a trap. His blood runs cold when he spots a timer inside the box. Only 20 seconds left on the clock, and counting down to total destruction. Panicked, Wolf King yells at Red Wolf, "We have to get out of here." They need to run, right now. But Red Wolf shakes his head, telling Wolf King to leave first. As Wolf King starts sprinting toward the exit, Red Wolf stays put. He doesn't budge an inch. Wolf King screams his name, demanding to know what he is doing. He begs him to get out, to stop being reckless. But Red Wolf is firm. Wolf King must go first. If they both stay, neither of them is coming out of this alive. It is their only shot at surviving. Wolf King keeps shouting his name, pleading with him, but it is already too late. Red Wolf already knows the harsh truth. Only one of them can walk away from this. He stays behind to seal the blast door, screaming at Wolf King to run. The next second, the timer hits 0. The heavy steel door slams shut. A massive explosion tears through the facility in a heartbeat. The entire base is leveled, reduced to nothing but rubble and dust. Soon, the news hits the dark web. Wolf King, the leader of the Wolf organization, failed his mission. Somewhere in a small African nation, the blast supposedly claimed his life. They say the explosion tore his body to shreds. It is all everyone on the web can talk about. Users are in shock, struggling to process that he is actually gone. The legendary king of assassins, dead? Some people are flat out refusing to believe it. Wolf King is an S-rank killer, the peak of combat strength. His power is world-renowned, recognized by everyone in the shadows. They are asking what kind of mission could possibly take him down. Others are saying this is a catastrophic loss for the underworld. Without him, the Wolf organization is likely headed for total chaos. But here is the secret: the truth is something else entirely. Wolf King is actually still alive. He managed to crawl out from the wreckage. He is the king of assassins, respected across the entire world, and he refuses to go out like this. Still, he is barely holding on after that nightmare of an operation. Every breath is a struggle. He can still see it, Red Wolf giving his life just to save him. A sacrifice he will never forget. Now Wolf King is fighting through critical, life-threatening wounds. But as he focuses on his recovery and rebuilding his own meridians, something incredible happens. He breaks past his limits, and finally, he unites them all. All his meridians reach the legendary Transcendental realm. Even after touching such insane heights of raw power, the legendary Wolf King just wants a normal life now. He's done with his past, done with the arrogance. He chooses to hide in the mortal world, living quiet. But deep down, something still pulls at him. One unfinished thing he can't let go of. It's a debt he has to settle, once and for all. The scene shifts to the station exit. Wolf King steps out, finally breathing in that freedom. He smiles at the sky, then walks up to a taxi driver, giving him the address 33 Huashan in Yunnan. The driver nods, tells him to hop in the cab. As they drive, the driver keeps checking him out. He catches the way Wolf King speaks, feeling curious. The driver asks if he's actually from around here. Maybe he's in Wuling to visit some relatives. Wolf King just shrugs, says he supposes that is true. Then the driver drops a warning: the Feng family. Not exactly the easiest people to get close to. Wolf King just stays quiet, doesn't say a word back. A while later, they pull up to the destination. There's a massive crowd, cars parked everywhere near a huge gate. 2 guards are standing watch, looking sharp. Wolf King goes to pay, but the driver stops him cold. He says no rush, he'll just wait here for now. Pay for the round trip later, no big deal. Wolf King finds that weird, asks him why he's waiting. The driver just smirks, says he will understand soon enough. Wolf King climbs out and heads for those heavy gates. He realizes the Feng family is hosting some massive event. It is busy, loud, and clearly a big deal today. Meanwhile, the driver watches him from inside the taxi. He mutters under his breath, sounding pretty dismissive. Just another big day for the prestigious Feng family. He looks at Wolf King's plain clothes and sneers. He thinks the guy is just here to crash the party, trying to mooch off the family status, probably. Wolf King stands right in front of the estate. He knows this is exactly the place he was looking for. He needs to wrap up his father's final wish. Needs to get this done, move on, and finally finish it. At the Feng family estate, he confirms in his heart this is the place. He thinks he has to finish his father's final will as fast as possible. And then he keeps reflecting on his past mistakes. The investigation into what really happened in the past begins. But as the Wolf King tries to enter, 2 guards step in. They block the gate and demand to know if he has an invitation. The Wolf King stays calm. He asks them a question in return. Just what kind of invitation are they even talking about? One guard snaps back. If he isn't here for the banquet, what is his business? Then things get tense as he demands to know why he came. Hearing that, the Wolf King explains his true reason for being there. He needs to see Feng Warming, the man he calls Uncle Feng. To prove it, he pulls out a photo for them to see. It shows his father standing right next to Uncle Feng. He points out the man in the picture is his own father. The guards take the photo and start to hesitate. They can see it. The resemblance is actually there. He needs to be sure, so the Wolf King reaches into his gear. He brings out a small box holding his father's medal. He tells them one look at this, and Uncle Feng will know exactly who he is. The guards shift instantly. Their attitudes turn completely respectful. They take the medal with shaking hands, treating it like gold. They ask the Wolf King to hold on for just a moment. They're rushing to report this development to their master right now. Meanwhile, deep inside the Feng estate, a massive party is kicking off. The atmosphere is electric. High-profile guests are mingling everywhere, laughing and drinking. Everyone is soaking in the luxury of the evening. Right in the middle of it, Yuna looks absolutely stunning. She talks with the guests, keeping her composure perfectly. She tells them that even after marriage, she remains a Feng. Then, the head of the family steps up to the center. Uncle Feng commands the room with total, heavy authority. He announces to the crowd that today is a monumental day. It is the official engagement between his daughter, Feng Yu, and the eldest young master of the Wen family, Wen Ziming. At the news, Feng Yu and Wen Ziming stand up together. They raise their glasses high to the cheering crowd. Uncle Feng leads a toast, demanding everyone congratulate the pair. He talks up the future of their joint business empire. He wants to see the Wen and Feng families dominate the market. The guests roar, downing their drinks and offering loud praise. People start whispering about the real power shift tonight. With this marriage, the Feng and Wen alliance is locked in. They believe these two will own Wuling City before long. But suddenly, a guard rushes in and slips behind Uncle Feng. He leans in and whispers that something has gone wrong. Uncle Feng catches the guard's terrified expression and freezes. The guard asks what on earth is going on here. He pulls out the Wolf King's father's medal to explain. A young man is waiting outside, holding that exact object. The moment Uncle Feng sees the medal, he freezes. Shock hits him hard. He recognizes the Zhang family crest. His wife is just as stunned, her eyes wide with disbelief. Why would a Zhang family member show up at a time like this? It's a critical moment for them, and this spells trouble. She recalls something from the past, an old promise made. Her father arranged for her sister to marry Zhang Hao. The union between the two families was set when they were kids. The daughter gasps, completely blindsided by the news. She cannot believe what she is hearing right now. She begs her grandfather to step in and protect her sister. If this guest really is the Zhang's son, she fears the worst. She refuses to let her sister be forced into a strange marriage. The grandfather tries to cool things down, keeping everyone steady. He orders Uncle Feng to go and check the situation out. Before heading off, Feng tells his wife to stay and entertain the Wen family. He needs to see who this mysterious guest really is. He walks toward the room where the guards took the Wolf King. He steps inside, and the man catches his eye. Uncle Feng realizes immediately it is Heoji. His face lights up, sheer joy washing away the tension. After all these years of searching, he finally found him. Heoji is just as relieved to see him, a small smile appearing. He admits he is late and apologizes for the worrying caused. They pull each other into a long, emotional embrace. Feng looks him over, amazed at the man Heoji has become. He asks after Heoji's father, curious why he did not come. The air turns heavy, and Heoji's expression shifts to sadness. 10 years ago, he says, his father passed away from old wounds. Feng is struck dumb, hit by a sudden, crushing wave of guilt. He hangs his head, admitting the fault is entirely his own. If his father hadn't saved him back then, he wouldn't have been hurt. He knows Heoji must have suffered through so much alone. Heoji shakes his head, telling him that is all in the past. He shifts the focus, finally revealing why he came here today. The weight of it all pressing down. Because if Heoji's father hadn't saved him back then, he wouldn't be standing here. Still scarred from that day. He also realizes Heoji must have endured so much suffering. Years and years of absolute agony. But the Wolf King steps in, saying that is all in the past now. He then lays out the true reason for his arrival. To fulfill his father's final wish. He explains that his father asked him to meet Uncle Feng. Everything will finally make sense once he sees him. Hearing this, Uncle Feng turns serious. He understands the meaning behind the request, but he realizes the current situation is far from simple. Tension hangs in the air. Just then, Uncle Fang's wife arrives at the scene. She is accompanied by the rest of the family members. Uncle Fang stares at them, feeling surprised. He asks why everyone is out and if the Wen family matter is settled. His wife explains that they already sent someone to escort the Wens home. The entire Fang family has gathered there. Then Uncle Fang introduces the Wolf King, known as Heoji. He introduces Heoji to everyone present. He points out his aunt and Yuna. He reminds them they all used to play together as kids. When Heoji sees Yuna, he feels happy and greets her warmly. He talks about their childhood memories. Yuna replies with a smile. She says her own childhood memories have started to fade. But the mood shifts with Yuna's sister, Yuyan. She looks completely annoyed. Yuyan speaks in a sharp tone, questioning Heoji. She asks why he showed up now, after more than 10 years of disappearing, and suddenly appearing on such an important day. Hearing that, Heoji grows a bit cautious. Not long after, Yuyan's brother, Feng Ming, joins the conversation. He speaks with a condescending tone. Feng Ming insists that his sister is already engaged. To the young master of the Wen family, he tells Heoji to stop dreaming. Uncle Fang immediately snaps at Feng Ming to be quiet. Yuna, looking confused, asks her father what is going on. At the same time, Heoji asks for an explanation too. He says he only came to fulfill his father's final request. Uncle Fang turns serious again. He calls Heoji over, his voice dropping low. He explains that in the past, he and Heoji's father arranged a betrothal, a childhood promise between Heoji and Yuna. He confirms it was part of Heoji's father's final will. Hearing this, both Heoji and Yuna are stunned. They cannot believe such an engagement actually exists. Heoji gazes at his uncle with a look of pure confusion. Uncle Feng stresses it once more, the promise made to Heoji's father. A weight from the past, hanging heavy over both their heads. It finally clicks. Heoji understands what his father's will really meant. He realizes the martial world he walks is incredibly dangerous. Getting married right now, it would only put him in harm's way. And not just him, it would put everyone around him in danger too. He can't let that happen. With a firm resolve, he turns to Uncle Feng and speaks his truth. If this truly was his father's final wish, then he wants one thing. He wants the marriage called off right here and now. But Feng Ming reacts instantly, and it is not pretty. He accuses Heoji of only showing up now for one reason, because he knows Yuna is about to get engaged to a powerful Wen family heir. Yuan jumps into throwing insults, mocking Heoji for his greed. She claims he is just terrified of losing his chance to leech off their status. Uncle Feng stands there, shocked by the venom in their words. Feng Ming doesn't stop, calling Heoji a beggar who is beneath them. He says Heoji is not worthy of being their brother-in-law. That is the final straw for Uncle Feng. His rage boils over and he scolds Feng Ming for such disrespect. He even raises a hand to strike his own son. But Feng Ming just squares his shoulders, daring his father to do it. He shouts that if his father forces his sister to marry someone like Heoji, then he would rather his father just beat him to death right there. Before the blow can land, Yuna steps in to shield her brother. She faces her father, eyes wet with tears, voice shaking with pain. She asks if he really plans to break off her engagement with the Wen family, just to force her into this marriage with Heoji. Uncle Feng answers with iron certainty, there is no turning back now. The bond between Yuna and Heoji was set in stone 20 years ago. It is a vow that cannot be changed. Yuna breaks down, sobbing, accusing her father of being heartless. She says he is no real father for sacrificing her future for an old promise. Then she turns and bolts out the door, blinded by her own tears. Her siblings scramble after her, desperate to calm the situation down. Now watch this. The mood in the room shifts entirely. Once the chaos dies down, Uncle Feng asks Heoji to stay for a while. Heoji tries to speak his mind, but his uncle waves him off. He tells Heoji to hold his tongue for now. Uncle Feng promises he will handle everything himself. Night falls over the Feng family estate, deep and quiet. Inside his room, Heoji settles into his meditation. He focuses deep within, gathering his energy. He can feel it now. He is right on the cusp of a breakthrough. Transcendence. Right in the middle of training, Heoji hears voices from the other room. His hearing is sharper than any normal person could imagine. He catches every word clearly, the conversation between Uncle Feng and his grandfather. Uncle Feng admits that Heoji's father died because of him. Back then, his father was saved but left with critical, life-ending wounds. He says if he breaks his promise now, he doesn't deserve to be called human. His grandfather fires back, keeping that promise will only make Yina suffer. Uncle Feng insists she is his daughter, and one day, she will understand his burden. But the old man warns him. The whole of Wuling City knows about this alliance. Canceling the engagement now will just bring the wrath of the Wen family down on them. Uncle Feng stands his ground, determined to find a way through the mess. Finally, the grandfather agrees to the marriage, but only under 3 strict conditions. First, there will be a 3-month observation period to test Heoji's character. Second, Uncle Feng is strictly forbidden from helping Heoji from the shadows. And third, Heoji must become a resident son-in-law, living right there with the Feng family. Uncle Feng looks shocked at the harsh demands. The grandfather explains that the Feng family holds too much status in Wuling City. They cannot just marry off their eldest daughter to a penniless youth with no clear background. After thinking it over, Uncle Feng accepts the terms. He decides it is time to go have a direct talk with the boy himself. Back in his own room, Heoji keeps on cultivating, listening to every single word. He understands the position Uncle Feng is in. Inside, he realizes his uncle has sacrificed so much already, just for his sake. He doesn't want to be any more of a burden. A moment later, Uncle Feng arrives at his door. He knocks. Heoji stands up, pulling on his shirt, revealing a glimpse of the Wolf King tattoo on his chest. He opens the door and invites Uncle Feng inside. Now, the two of them sit down to face the truth about the engagement. With no clear background to go on, the situation is murky. After thinking it over, Uncle Feng finally agrees to the terms, and he decides to go have a direct talk with Heoji. Meanwhile, in another room, Heoji keeps on cultivating, all while secretly listening to every word of that conversation, taking it all in. He understands what Uncle Feng is up against. In his heart, he realizes his uncle is carrying so much for his sake, so he decides he will not be a burden anymore. A moment later, Uncle Feng walks up to the front of his room. He knocks on the door. Heoji stands up, throwing on his shirt, showing a flash of that tattoo. The mark of the Wolf King right on his chest as he lets Uncle Feng in. Both of them start talking, man to man, about the engagement. The tension is thick, but Heoji immediately states he has no desire to cause trouble for Uncle Feng. He promises to agree with whatever decision Uncle Feng decides to make, whatever it takes. Hearing that, Uncle Feng feels a wave of relief wash over him. He asks hopefully if Heoji is truly willing to marry into the family and become a live-in son-in-law at the Feng household. Heoji calmly agrees to the arrangement. Uncle Feng is overcome with emotion, feeling a deep sense of guilt. But Heoji tells him there is no reason for him to feel that way. After that, Uncle Feng tells Heoji to get some well-deserved rest. He says he will take care of all the necessary arrangements. As Uncle Feng leaves the room, Heoji stares at his back. He thinks to himself that this is the only way to keep things simple. He only agrees to this for now, just a temporary fix. He has already mapped out his escape after 3 months. Once the observation period ends, he is leaving the city for good. Now the story shifts to the Wen family residence. The head of the family, Wen Feng, slams his fist onto the table. He is absolutely furious after hearing the news. The engagement is being called off. He cannot believe it, especially since the ceremony is only 3 days away. Uncle Fong stays calm, trying to explain his difficult position. He hopes Wen Daofeng can understand the situation he is in. An old promise must be kept, and he refuses to be a man who breaks his word. He stands firm on his decision. But Wen Daofeng only grows angrier, feeling insulted. He believes the Wen family is being disgraced in front of everyone. The whole city of Wuling is watching. To apologize, Uncle Fong offers to pull out of the massive Nanshan district project. It is a huge sacrifice. But even that offer fails to cool Wen Daofeng down. He flatly rejects it. He yells that the Wen family will not be toyed with like this. They are not to be trifled with. He swears that the Fong family will pay a heavy price for this insult. The tension here, it is hitting a breaking point. With that, Wen Daofeng storms out in a fit of pure rage, leaving Uncle Fong alone to deal with the fallout. The scene shifts to a crowded internet cafe. It is packed with people playing games, working, or just killing time. A total blur of activity. Heoji is there too, on a secret mission to dig for information. His fingers fly across the keyboard, searching through data. He is looking for something specific. Suddenly, the screen fills with various news reports and files. On screen, a butterfly flickers as files on the dark web scroll by. A headline flashes, a grainy photo of an old man pops up. They call him the grandmother, a martial arts legend from abroad. The Wandering Eastern Dragon, a name that carries heavy weight. But now he's the world's most wanted target, a massive bounty on his head. $200 million. Heoji stares, wondering why they're hunting him. He scrolls down to another report, this one about a Huaxia University student, a victim of a brutal crime, rape and murder, by a Kor's family heir. Even worse, the family tried to silence the victim's grieving mother too. They were ruthless, going after the mother just for seeking justice. But a man named Pei Yuanbai wasn't about to let that slide. He stepped in, taking matters into his own hands with cold precision. He wiped out the killer and a dozen of his elite bodyguards. Heoji reads on, feeling a deep, burning resentment for these criminals. He can't help but respect Pei Yuanbai for standing up to them, especially since Pei Yuanbai is his own master's closest friend. It's personal, a line drawn in the sand against true evil. But then Heoji stops cold, his eyes locking onto a new report. His hand freezes right on the mouse as the screen reveals the truth. The Volf organization leader, the Volf King himself, has fallen. Sky Volf has taken the throne, leaping over everyone else to the top. Which is strange, because Sky Volf was only ranked 4th before. Heoji's jaw drops, because this makes zero sense. That position should have gone to Lone Volf, the second-ranked veteran. Something is rotten in the organization, and he knows it. Memories flood back, hitting him like a physical blow. He sees it clearly himself and Red Volf trapped in that mission. It was a trap from the start, a setup meant to kill them both. Red Volf didn't make it, sacrificing himself so Heoji could live. Now the rage is boiling over, hotter than it's ever been. He sees the pattern now, the rot of betrayal inside his own home. He whispers the name Sky Volf, a promise of pain in his heart. He's going to find the real traitor, no matter the cost. He makes a silent vow to Red Volf. He won't let this go. He'll uncover every dirty secret and make them pay for it. Every single one of them will answer for his partner's death. That night, under a dim moon, Heoji steps out of the internet cafe. He walks slow, his mind racing through the gears of his plan. He decides to stay in this city for a few days longer. He needs to dig for leads and get a feel for the local streets. If he's going to hunt a Volf, he needs to know the forest. But as he turns the corner, a sleek car screeches to a halt. It stops dead right in his path, blocking the entire road. Heoji blinks in surprise as two rough-looking men step out. They crowd his space, ice cold, telling him he's coming with them. The two thugs move in, pulling out their blades right on Heoji. They have no idea who they're actually dealing with. They don't realize just how dangerous this guy really is. One thug sneers, threatening to knife him if he even tries to fight. He's promising to end it right there if Heoji makes a move. Heoji stays calm, sizing them up just a pair of petty thugs. He decides to play along for a second, just to see what their game is. Raising his hands, he fakes total compliance. Trying to keep things quiet, he plays the role of a scared victim. The other thug barks an order, telling him to get in the car. As the door swings open, Heoji takes a look inside. And then he spots it. There's already a hostage trapped in there. A girl, her mouth taped shut, tears streaming down her face in terror. It's obvious she's been kidnapped, too. Inside the vehicle, Heoji tries to talk his way out of this. He tells them if it's cash they want, he's only got 300 on him. He's ready to hand it over right now, just to de-escalate. The thug scoffs, telling him they aren't here for chump change like that. Heoji asks what they're actually after then, if not for money. The other goon snaps back, telling him to shut up and stop asking. He says Heoji will find out everything once they hit their destination. As they speed off toward an unknown location, they have no clue. They are walking straight into a trap with someone far more dangerous. Suddenly, the scene shifts to the home of the kidnapped girl, Yo-Yo. You can cut the tension in the room with a knife. Her grandfather, father, and uncle sit there, faces hard as stone. The grandfather asks if there's any lead on who pulled this off. Someone replies they've burned every connection, but nobody knows a thing. The grandfather says they have to prepare for the absolute worst. Now watch this, things are about to get even more complicated. They need to find the kidnapper's end and cover the motive behind this. Meanwhile, a heavy-set man explains the situation with the company. Major projects are hitting the final phase, draining all their cash. They simply don't have the 500 million the kidnappers are demanding. The man instantly suggests they negotiate the ransom down. He thinks dropping it to 100 million might buy them time. That suggestion hits like a match in a room full of gasoline. Yo-Yo's father explodes in rage at the mere thought of it. He screams at his own brother, demanding to know something. He asks if he would be saying the same thing if it were his own child. The chubby guy immediately jumps in to suggest a negotiation. He tells the kidnappers to drop the ransom to 100 million. But that suggestion sparks instant rage. Yo-Yo's father snaps. He angrily asks if he would say that if it were his own kin. A real gut check, right? Even if his own child were the one kidnapped, the fat man insists that he would still take the same cold action, without a single drop of hesitation in his voice. Yo-Yo's father is absolutely livid, ready to explode right there. But before things can spiral, the grandfather slams his hand down on the chair, cutting through the tension with a roar. He demands they get that 500 million together somehow. It is an order, not a request. He argues that money is just paper, but if Yo-Yo loses her life, it is game over, forever. The scene shifts to the kidnapper's hideout, a dark, forgotten corner of the city. The car carrying Heoji and Yo-Yo rolls into an old, rusted factory. This place is completely abandoned. It is dead silent, heavy with an eerie, suffocating chill. The kidnappers drag Heoji and Yo-Yo out into the grime. Heoji stays calm, scanning the perimeter with a sharp eye. He does not fight back, keeping up the act, playing along perfectly. Then they rip the tape off Yo-Yo's mouth. Free at last, she starts screaming for help at the top of her lungs. Pure terror in her voice. But it is all for nothing. This place is so isolated, not a single soul can hear her cries. One thug growls at her. If she keeps yelling, he will make her regret it. That threat hits her hard. Yo-Yo is shaking, but she fires back with a desperate warning. Touch me, and I will die right here by biting my own tongue. Even as her body trembles from the fear, she holds her ground. The kidnappers just laugh, trying to break her spirit even more. Just as things are about to snap, another one of them steps in. He barks at his partner to drop the talk and get back to work. Enough games, focus on the job. They pull out a camera. Yo-Yo realizes exactly what they want. a video of the murder to squeeze her family for that ransom. The leader smirks, telling her she is actually pretty sharp. She knows the game. Yo-Yo curses them out, calling them heartless monsters to their faces. A moment later, one of them stalks toward Hyoji. He pulls out a blade, ready to do something truly brutal. The air turns ice cold. Yo-Yo is hyperventilating now, begging Hyoji to plead for mercy. If he does not, she knows they will kill him without a thought. It is a desperate plea from a girl who has lost all hope. Yet, the kidnapper just smiles, twisted by Hyoji's eerie silence. Hyoji even called himself a real man for this, because he didn't show a single ounce of fear. And he actually offered to deliver the guy's final message. But there's always a price to pay. Hyoji then said he really didn't want to kill anyone. But these kidnappers were practically begging for death. Hearing that, the kidnapper just let out a loud laugh, thinking Hyoji was truly completely stupid, talking like that while standing on the brink of death. Not a single one of them realized who they were dealing with. Hyoji stayed calm, simply saying he agreed. The kidnapper was confused, asking what on earth he agreed to. Hyoji explained he agreed with the cost of the final message. Except this time, the kidnapper was the one who had to pay. The kidnapper just doubled down, calling him an idiot, even saying he felt bad about having to kill someone so dumb. But then, their boss stood up from his chair, gripping a massive machete, deciding to handle it himself. He lunged at Hyoji with everything he had. The blade was just inches from Hyoji's skin. Yo-Yo watched, squeezing her eyes shut in pure terror. But in less than a second, everything flipped. Now watch this. The moment reality hits them like a truck. Yo-Yo opened her eyes to see something totally insane. Hyoji unleashed a massive punch straight to his attacker's face. Teeth shattered instantly as the guy flew backward. He hit the ground, completely knocked out cold. The other kidnappers stood there, frozen in total shock. One of them panicked and pulled out a handgun. He tried to take the shot, aiming right for Hyoji. But in a blur, Hyoji kicked a piece of scrap metal. It flew across the floor with terrifying speed. It slammed into the gunman's hand, crushing the bone. The gun flew loose as blood sprayed everywhere. At the same time, more thugs charged in to attack. One of them fired, but Hyoji dodged it easily. He moved with speed that honestly defied the laws of physics. In one lightning-fast motion, he struck the enemy's neck. He drove his hand right through the man's chest. The remaining kidnappers saw that and nearly lost their minds. They didn't even have time to react. Hyoji took them all down, one after another, just as easily. A bald guy nearby was absolutely paralyzed. He couldn't even move, just shaking in his boots. You can tell he knows he's the next one on the list. He demands to know, who exactly is Hyoji? Instantly, Hyoji appears right behind him like a ghost. His name isn't something someone like him deserves to know. Before the guy can even blink, Hyoji makes his move. He slams the man's head into the ground with brutal force. Casually, Hyoji reaches down and grabs the guy's cash. Just a little service fee for the final message, he mutters. A cold, heartless professional. Hyoji stomps on the bald man's face, just as Yo-Yo calls out. She's begging for help, but please, cut these ropes. The binds are biting into her skin, keeping her trapped. Without a single word, Hyoji flicks a knife through the air. With impossible precision, the blade slices through the rope. Yo-Yo freezes, stunned by that insane level of accuracy. She calls out a thank you, but the guy is already moving. Hyoji just walks away into the dark, not saying a thing. Not long after, the sirens wail as police and medics arrive. Yo-Yo sits there, shivering, a blanket wrapped tight around her. Then the familiar faces arrive, her grandfather and father. Seeing her safe, the old man breaks down in tears. Yo-Yo rushes into his arms, sobbing her heart out. The adrenaline is fading, replaced by raw relief. An officer walks up, asking about the man who did this. Who was the person that wiped out these kidnappers? How did he save her? Yo-Yo wipes her eyes, her mind already made up. He had a mask on. She lies. She couldn't see his face. The cop presses on, asking for any details about his build. She keeps her voice steady, telling him a calculated lie. Short, stout, maybe a middle-aged guy in his 40s. Night falls, and we're back at the safety of Yo-Yo's home. She's finally back, but the tension hasn't really left. Her grandfather watches her closely, sensing something is off. He knows she wasn't honest with the police earlier. You can see it in the way she avoids his eyes. Yo-Yo hangs her head, finally admitting the truth to him. She saw his face clearly, but she couldn't betray him. Not after he saved her life. To her, exposing him would be the ultimate act of betrayal. She won't let her savior become a target. Her grandfather nods slowly, understanding her perspective. Loyalty and gratitude are honorable traits, he admits. But he's a pragmatist. He knows the world doesn't work like that. The Jen family is too powerful to be reckless. They can't just trust strangers. Who knows what this guy wants? His every action. Yo-Yo understands what he means, and the old man tells him to head back to his room and get some rest since the day has been exhausting for him. Back in his room, Yo-Yo shuts the door and leans against it, lost deep in his own thoughts. He starts questioning in his heart, did his savior have some other motive for helping him? Meanwhile, right after Yo-Yo leaves, a man comes to meet with the old man. Without hesitating, the old man orders him to take full responsibility for Yo-Yo's safety starting tomorrow, and warns him there cannot be a single mistake. Not one. He also gives an extra order to keep it quiet and secretly investigate exactly who the person was that killed the kidnappers and saved Yo-Yo. Elsewhere, Hyoji is moving fast through the dead of night. He is running with incredible speed, using a movement technique called the Swift Shadow Step. In no time, he arrives near the home of his future in-laws, the Feng family. He opens the gate and walks inside, only to find his family already waiting for him. As soon as he enters, Feng Ming yells at him harshly for daring to come home so late. Hyoji calmly replies that there is no rule against coming home at night. That answer only makes Feng Ming angrier. But Uncle Feng immediately corrects him for being so rude. He reminds him that even if Hyoji is not yet married to his older sister, he should still be respected as a future brother-in-law. But Feng Ming arrogantly snaps back that Hyoji is just a poor kid with no background and isn't worthy of being part of their family. He also reveals that when Ziming has an adoptive father who is a major underworld figure in Wuling City known as Master Lei. He threatens that because the Feng family has humiliated the Wen family, it is highly likely that Master Lei will step in to take his revenge. Hearing that, Uncle Feng gets a serious look because he knows those underworld rumors are likely to be true. After that, Feng Ming scoffs coldly and stomps out of the room, followed by Aunt Feng, who also glares at Hyoji coldly before leaving. Uncle Feng then walks over to Hyoji, urging him not to. Hyoji takes Feng Ming's words to heart. He promises, whatever happens, he'll do his best to protect Hyoji. But Hyoji just replies calmly, he isn't afraid of someone like Master Lei. If they're reckless enough to come looking for trouble, he's going to make them regret it. That statement immediately sets the grandfather off. He snaps back, young people need to know when to stay humble and when to stand their ground. He also warns Hyoji not to be coming home so late at night again. Hearing that, Hyoji just gives a brief answer before heading to his room. He walks out. Once he's gone, Uncle Feng tries to defend him, but the old man still looks deeply worried. He just hopes Hyoji's presence in the Feng family won't bring disaster down on them all. The next morning, the city looks peaceful, bathed in the soft glow of early sunlight. Hyoji stands before an old house, realizing this place must be the former home of the Red Wolf family. He starts feeling puzzled because the place looks completely abandoned. Just then, a woman tells him that the family moved away more than a year ago. Hearing that, Hyeoji is a little surprised, quickly asking if she knows where they went. She isn't sure, but there's a girl nearby who was very close to them and might have the information he needs. That girl only comes back once every 10 to 15 days. Taking that in, Hyeoji immediately pulls out some cash and hands it over to the woman, asking to be contacted the moment the girl returns. After that, Hyeoji stands still for a moment in front of the Red Wolf family home, lost in his own thoughts. He feels like something isn't right, slowly walking away. Hyeoji starts to suspect that this whole situation might have something to do with the attack that once targeted him and Red Wolf. Back in the day, the scene shifts to a luxury hotel. Inside one of the rooms, when Zaiming is with a woman after spending the night together, suddenly there's a knock. Zaiming wakes up annoyed, cursing at the disturbance. He stomps to the door, flings it open, and finds his subordinate, Kingzi, standing there. Zaiming immediately demands the results of the investigation he ordered. Kingzi quickly reports back. The young man is named Jang Hyeoji, a high school dropout. He explains that Hyeoji's father was once a comrade in arms. Uncle Fang recounts how his father passed away from old wounds. His mother's sickness soon followed, leaving Hyeoji all alone. Since then, Hyeoji vanished without a trace, and Kingzi adds more. Word is out, rumors claim Hyeoji slipped out of the country, working some illegal job overseas just to survive. Kingzi suspects Hyeoji only showed his face again because of one thing. He must have heard about the engagement between Zaiming and the Fang daughter. Hearing that, Zaiming's face twists into pure, unfiltered rage. He clenches his fist tight, spitting insults at Hyeoji. To him, that guy is nothing but worthless trash. Kingzi offers to take care of Hyeoji quietly, behind the scenes. But Zaiming refuses. He wants to try a peaceful approach first. He decides to track down Yuna and talk to her face to face. Moments later, they meet up, sitting together over tea. The air is heavy, incredibly awkward between them. Yuna looks genuinely heartbroken. She finally speaks up, asking why Zaiming wanted this meeting. Zaiming stares her down, demanding to know if she is really going through with it, following her father's wishes to marry some guy she barely even knows. It just makes no sense to him. Yuna keeps her head low, explaining the debt her family owes the Jeongs. But before she can even finish, Zaiming is already on his feet, emotions boiling over. He begs Yuna to just run away with him. Yuna shuts him down immediately, refusing with a firm voice. She explains that leaving now would ruin her father's reputation. It would make him look like a man who breaks his word, a man who doesn't value his promises. To her, that kind of honor is everything. Breaking that vow would be like destroying her own father. Hearing that, Zaiming just gets even more bitter. He doesn't care. He only thinks about himself. If this engagement breaks, he becomes the laughingstock of Wuling City. With eyes turning red, Yuna apologizes on her father's behalf. Tears start streaming down her cheeks as she turns away. She tells him it is over between them, and then she leaves him behind. Zaiming is left fuming, and he immediately calls up Kingzi. With a voice cold as ice, he orders him to start Plan 2. The scene shifts, and we see Hyeoji getting a phone call. It is the woman from the shop, telling him the girl is back. He gets the news and is ready to move. Hyeoji quickly changes his clothes and heads downstairs. Uncle Fang catches him, asking where he is rushing off to. Hyeoji just plays it cool, saying he has something to handle. He walks out the door, not wasting a single second. Out in the street, Hyeoji is already on the move. Hyeoji flags down a taxi and tells the driver his destination, heading to Puyang Road. The driver nods and gestures for him to get inside the car. But as Hyeoji hops in, he spots a man in rough clothes already sitting there. Seems the driver decided to pick up another passenger along the way. The car starts moving, but after a few minutes, something feels off. The route, it just isn't right. It is completely wrong. Hyeoji speaks up, asking the driver exactly where they are headed. The driver says he is just dropping off this guy he calls brother first. For Hyeoji, this location is the complete opposite direction of Puyang Road. The whole trip is becoming incredibly inefficient. Suspicion starts gnawing at him. Who exactly are these people? He keeps his cool, but his mind is racing with questions. Now watch this. Things are about to get real intense. They pull up to the Wenziming estate and Hyeoji is told to enter alone. Even with the situation looking sketchy, he stays calm. They promise that as long as he causes no trouble, he is safe. Inside, he is actually burning with curiosity. He needs to know who is pulling all these strings. Hyeoji walks in and finally comes face to face with Wenziming and Qingzi. The second Wenziming sees him, he flashes a look of pure contempt. He mocks Hyeoji, calling him Yuna's fiancé who just leeches off the Fang family. That one sentence tells Hyeoji everything he needs to know about their motives. Without wasting time, he asks them point blank why they brought him here. Wenziming only ramps up the insults. He claims Hyeoji is unworthy of Yuna and calls him a worthless pauper. Honestly, Wenziming looks offended just having to compete with someone like him. No more pleasantries. Wenziming finally lays his cards on the table. He demands that Hyeoji cut off a finger. Then, he must leave the Fang family and vanish back to where he came from. The tension in the room is suffocating. 3 men, 1 locked room, and a massive problem. Hyeoji refuses to give in to that insane demand. Calm as ever, he asks Wenziming what happens if he just says no. You can feel the shift in the room right here. Wenziming just lets out a cold, cynical laugh. Without a second thought, he orders Qingzi to teach Hyeoji a lesson. The tension between the 3 men hits its breaking point. Inside the room, things turn ice cold. Hyeoji flatly refuses the demand. He just stands there, calmly asking one question. What will Wenziming do if he says no? Wenziming lets out a nasty, cynical laugh. He snaps his fingers, ordering Qingzi to teach Hyeoji a lesson. Things are getting intense as a guard gets dragged into the room. It turns out he's actually one of Uncle Fong's subordinates. He's shoved inside, right into the middle of the mess. He had been tailing Hyeoji in secret, but Wenziming's men caught him. A fight breaks out immediately. There's no avoiding this one. The guard looks stunned, realizing his opponents are way tougher than he thought. He tries to hold his own, but he's quickly overwhelmed and crumbling. One brutal, heavy blow to the gut drops him for good. Watching this, Hyeoji starts having some serious doubts inside. Was it really the right call for Uncle Fong to send him help? A guy with skills like that, honestly, he's barely holding up. Qingzi is playing games now, intentionally baiting the situation. He wants Hyeoji to follow them out to the backyard. Out in the back, there is this massive pit waiting there. Someone clearly went to a lot of trouble to prep it. Hyeoji clocks it instantly. That pit isn't there for decoration. It's meant to be his final resting place. Qingzi dares him to jump in voluntarily, or he'll be forced. Hyeoji just stands his ground. He never wanted any of this blood. He states clearly that he has no real desire to kill anyone. But this situation, it's pushing him into a corner. Suddenly, an attack comes out of nowhere, totally unexpected. Hyeoji moves in a blur, snapping back with a strike of his own. It happens so fast you can barely see the move. His opponent freezes, completely stunned, before tipping right into the pit. A second attack launches from behind almost immediately after. But Hyeoji is ready, spinning around in one fluid, sharp motion. He hurls a kunai with perfect aim, straight through the guy's head. It slams into the wall, pinning him there before he drops. The body falls, landing right in that same grave they dug. Seeing this, Qingzi finally realizes Hyeoji isn't just some random thug. Still, he's too arrogant to back down now. He orders the rest of his men to swarm Hyeoji at once. He wants them to make him suffer, to draw out his death. The third attack comes flying in, but Hyeoji doesn't even flinch. He catches the incoming kunai with his bare hand, clean and easy. He grabs the guy's head and flings him aside with raw force. The body goes sliding across the ground for several meters. To Hyoji, these guys aren't even real threats anymore. They're just pests, annoying flies buzzing around him. One by one, when Ziming's men meet their end here, they're all ending up in the very pit they prepared for him. Kingzi watches the slaughter, and pure, icy terror grips him. His legs give out, and he collapses, completely broken. He's begging for his life now, finally admitting the truth, just upon following every order from Wen Ziming. Hyoji listens to the confession and just turns away, nodding at Kingzi. He tells Kingzi to handle things on his own. Kingzi understands exactly what he needs to do. Without a shred of hesitation, he picks up a heavy stone and slams it against his own head with brutal force. Just like that, Hyoji settles his business with Wen Ziming's man. It's over. Hyoji leaves the backyard behind, calm as ever. He walks away with an easy stride, like nothing happened. After walking around for a bit, he heads right back to the scene. He's buried every single body in the pit, covering them with dirt. Now, he sits on a chair placed directly over the makeshift grave. He looks completely at peace, not a single worrying in sight. Nearby, Shoshu is still lying on the ground. Turns out, the chaos before only knocked him out cold. A few moments pass, and Shoshu finally starts to stir. He sits up, holding his throbbing head while Hyoji glances his way. He tells him to get up and drive him to Puyang Road. Shoshu nods immediately, struggling to his feet. He looks around, clearly shaken by the sight. He starts wondering where all those people went, but Hyoji just speaks. He says calmly that they all left already. Despite the confusion, Shoshu doesn't dare ask another question. Soon enough, Shoshu gets Hyoji to his destination. Once they arrive, Hyoji tells him to leave right away. His tone is serious, warning him not to follow. Shoshu hesitates, but finally nods. He drives off, leaving Hyoji to walk toward that old woman, the one he met earlier. The moment she sees him, she recognizes him instantly. She looks shocked, wondering why he's only showing up now. The girl he's looking for went home a long time ago. Hyoji nods politely, thanks her, and heads toward the girl's house. He makes his way to the front door. He knocks, and the door opens after a few seconds. A young girl steps out, asking who he's looking for. Hyoji stares at her, studying her face before speaking up. He asks if she is Sunli. She freezes on the spot, her expression shifting instantly. She denies it right away, claiming Hyoji has the wrong person. But Hyoji stays calm, telling her he was her brother's best friend. He pulls out a jade pendant that once belonged to her brother. One look at it, and her whole world changes. Ia spots that pendant, and panic hits her like a wave. She instantly demands to know where her brother is. Hyoji pauses, then forces a small, tight smile. He claims her brother is buried in work and just cannot make it back yet. He then asks if he can check on Sunli instead. Hearing that, she finally breathes a sigh of relief. She gestures for Hyoji to come inside right away. She even apologizes for being so rude moments ago. Once he steps into the house, Hyoji sees it. An elderly woman, lying in bed, looking incredibly frail and sick. He frowns slightly, then asks about their younger brother, Lei. The girl's face darkens, but before she can even answer, someone bursts through the door, completely panicked. A young man named Dongji rushes in, out of breath. He breaks the news something happened to Lei. She quickly calms him down, begging for the full story. Dongji explains that Lei's business was doing fine until a rival boss showed up. That guy accused Lei of market monopolization and demanded $1 million in damages. He tried to force Lei out, but the kid wouldn't budge. But here is the thing, this rival has backup. Turns out, he is working for a guy named Black Panther. As soon as she hears that name, the girl turns ghost white. Moments later, the three of them are in a van speeding toward the scene. On the way, she fills Heoji in on the past year and a half. Their mother got deathly ill, and they were out of options. Lacey had to borrow from the underground market, but the rates were insane. They soon found out the contract had been rigged from the start. Now the interest alone is way more than they can ever pay off. Dongji adds that Black Panther is the shark running that entire loan operation. Finally, the van screeches to a halt in front of a fancy spot. Passion Flying Bar looks like a total den of luxury. As they get out, Heoji tells Dongji to stay put outside. Dongji hesitates, clearly worried about leaving them alone. But she steps in, telling him it is too dangerous inside. She tells Dongji to listen to Heoji. Reluctantly, he finally nods and stays behind. Dongji explains the situation. Black Panther is the real boss. He is the one running this whole predatory loan scheme. Finally, the car stops in front of a flashy entertainment spot, a high-end place called Passion Flying Bar. The three of them get out, and Heoji tells Dongji to wait. Dongji looks hesitant, clearly worried about what is coming next. But the girl cuts him off. It is too dangerous inside. She tells him to just follow Heoji's lead and stay put. With no choice, he reluctantly agrees to stay behind. Heoji and Sunli step into the bar. The moment they walk in, everyone starts staring. They are clearly outsiders, and the atmosphere inside is pure chaos. The music is blasting, and women are laughing as they throw money around. Cash is literally floating through the air. People are drinking, screaming, and brawling. Total, unhinged madness. Not far away, a brutal fight is breaking out. Inside a ring, a massive, muscular guy is beating a bald man down. He shows no mercy. He slams him right onto the floor. The crowd explodes in a deafening roar, absolutely loving the violence. It is pure, unfiltered brutality. Meanwhile, in the private lounge, loud laughter echoes off the walls. A bald guy sits on the sofa, puffing away on a fat cigar. Across from him, a man in a suit calmly enjoys a glass of wine. The bald guy, everyone knows him as Black Panther. He flashes an arrogant grin, bragging about the Japanese karate fighter he hired. He cost a fortune, but Old Yang just nods along. Old Yang calmly agrees. That fighter is seriously strong. Suddenly, one of Black Panther's lackeys rushes in. He reports that Lazy's younger sister has finally arrived. Black Panther waves his hand, telling them to send her in. Moments later, the girl is brought in, along with Heoji. She bows respectfully, but Black Panther is already losing his patience. Coldly, he tells them not to waste his time. His tone turns menacing. Pay up, or watch Lazy's leg tendons get shredded. Heoji steps forward, calm as ever. He explains they are here to settle the debt without any violence. One of Black Panther's men steps up, acting all aggressive and fired up. He is fuming because Heoji is being so calm. But Black Panther stops him and stands up. He walks right up to Heoji, looking him up and down. Now watch this. Things are about to get personal. He asks Heoji exactly how he plans to settle this. He even threatens him. If the offer is not good enough, Heoji is dead. Heoji doesn't flinch. He points out that loan sharking is illegal, and Lazy does not owe that much. Before they can even move, Black Panther steps in and blocks them. He walks right up to Heoji, looking him up and down. He wants to know exactly how Heoji plans to fix this. Just listen to this. He's already throwing out threats. If he is not happy, Black Panther says Heoji dies today. A brutal, miserable end. That is what he is promising. Heoji does not flinch, coolly pointing out that loan sharking is illegal. Plus, Lazy's debt is nowhere near the amount they are claiming. He offers $50,000 to clear the debt and asks them not to take the kidnapping issue any further. Just apologize and walk away. He thinks that will be enough. Black Panther just lets out a harsh, mocking laugh. He feels insulted, completely disrespected. Black Panther. He has ruled the underworld for over a decade. And yet, nobody has ever dared to underestimate him. Like this. But Heoji just shrugs it off and lays out a challenge. If he wins, is the debt wiped clean? Black Panther laughs again, accepting the fight with pure arrogance. He is so sure of his own power. He points right to the ring, making his promise clear. If Heoji actually wins, the debt is gone. He will even kneel down and admit defeat right there. Moments later, they all head toward the underground boxing arena. The girl is shaking with anxiety, terrified because she has no idea how strong Heoji really is. Meanwhile, Black Panther is wearing a smug, confident grin, completely blind to the nightmare about to crash down on him. Heoji steps into the ring. His opponent starts chirping, mocking him with every word. The referee calls for the start, and the fight is on. The opponent moves first, throwing a heavy, crushing punch straight at Heoji. Sun Lei panics, squeezing her eyes shut tight, terrified to see the damage. But in a blink, Heoji is gone, vanished, appearing midair. Just like that. The opponent misses, his fist slamming hard into the ring wall. He grabs his head in agony as the impact echoes out. Blood starts trickling down. On the other side, Heoji stands perfectly still. He's actually smiling, just watching the guy struggle. That look sends the fighter into a red-hot rage. He roars in pure anger, lunging forward to attack Heoji again without a second thought. Heoji doesn't even move, not a hint of fear in his eyes. The sudden strike is coming in fast, but Heoji blocks it with almost zero effort, totally effortless. The guy freezes, eyes wide, struggling to process what just happened. And Heoji isn't giving him an inch of breathing room. He saps back with a lightning-fast counter. His fist drives into the man's gut, leaving him choking in pain. Fresh blood splatters. Heoji doesn't stop there. He unleashes an incredibly aggressive combo, starting with a heavy blow to the head, then follows it up with a brutal kick to the chest. Even though his opponent tries to hold on, Heoji shows zero mercy. He rains down attacks so savage that all you can see is a blur of motion. Seeing his target still standing, Heoji doesn't hesitate. He launches another massive kick toward the head. That strike sends the guy flying backward before he hits the arena floor, completely knocked out. After the fight ends, Heoji strolls toward the edge and stops right in front of Black Panther, his voice dripping with absolute disdain. Heoji declares that anyone who hasn't reached the Chai and Blood stage doesn't deserve to call themselves a master. Black Panther hears this and freezes. He can't believe his ears. Meanwhile, Sun Li watches, totally stunned, realizing Heoji is far stronger than she ever imagined. Even the other men nearby start whispering, recognizing that Heoji is a force not to be messed with. Heoji steps off the arena, calm and collected. He walks right up to Black Panther. Time to collect on the bet they made earlier. He orders Black Panther to kneel and call him Grandpa. But Black Panther refuses, eyes burning with pure hate. He whips out a pistol and aims it straight at Heoji. Sun Li screams a warning, but Heoji stays perfectly still. He remains calm, dangerously calm. He says he never actually wanted to kill anyone. But Black Panther is leaving him no other choice. That pushes Black Panther over the edge. He pulls the trigger. As the bullet flies, Heoji just gives a small smile, still holding an apple in his hand. In a blink, Heoji shifts his focus and flicks that apple forward. The fruit splits clean in two. But then the impossible happens. The bullet ricochets, hitting Black Panther before he can move. The crowd goes wild, panic exploding everywhere. They realize Heoji just killed him, and it gets even crazier. That person was Black Panther. His subordinates watching from a distance couldn't believe it. They just watched their own boss get taken out like that. Two of Black Panther's men immediately collapsed at Heoji's feet. One of them begged for his life, shaking. He confessed that he was only following Black Panther's orders. Meanwhile, the other one pleaded for mercy too. He cried about having to support his elderly mother and his young kids waiting for him back home. In the middle of all this madness, everything paused. A man suddenly appeared from right behind Hyeoji. He stepped up and offered his help. He pointed out that the bar was covered in cameras, meaning this killing couldn't just be swept under the rug. The evidence was definitely caught on tape. He even knew that Hyeoji had a friend kidnapped by Black Panther and suggested they use this leverage to demand a release. The guy offered to handle the cleanup himself. Hyeoji hesitated, wondering why he should trust a complete stranger. But the man just claimed he wanted to build a good connection, a mutual alliance, because you never know when you might need a favor. Finally, Hyeoji handed over control of the bar to the stranger. He turned and walked away with Sunli, leaving the scene behind. From the shadows, the man watched Hyeoji walk off. He realized Hyeoji was no ordinary person, not by a long shot. He was certain their paths would cross again. The next day, the story shifted to Uncle Fang's residence. Uncle Fang's family was gathered there, having breakfast with Hyeoji. The table was huge, but the mood was pretty tense. Yuyan suddenly spoke up, blaming Hyeoji for everything. She complained that her brother was staying at a hotel and wouldn't come home. She hadn't seen him in forever because of this. Uncle Vin immediately shut her down, telling her to be quiet. Hyeoji didn't say a word, didn't even react to her outburst. He just mentioned he was full and needed to head out. He stood up from the dining table, ready to leave. But Uncle Fang stopped him in his tracks. He needed a quick word with him before he left. Uncle Fang explained that Yuna had just called in a panic. She needed some urgent documents delivered right away. Since he was tied up, he asked Hyeoji to take them to her. Uncle Fang handed over the files. He promised to text the company address and her phone number. Hyeoji took the task on without saying a single word. Yuna is being sent off, and Hyeoji accepts the mission without a word. Hyeoji cuts the chatter short and heads out, with Yun tailing behind him. She catches their entire conversation, her mind already racing. Quietly, she starts plotting, dead set on getting Hyeoji out of their lives. Soon enough, Hyeoji reaches the Ironmite Company building. He steps into the lobby and approaches a staff member, asking where to deliver these documents for Director Fang. The employee is friendly, pointing him right toward the elevators. Hyeoji gives a quick thanks and starts heading that way. But just as he's about to step inside, he bumps into a massive man. Instantly, Hyeoji's instincts go into overdrive. Something about this guy feels completely off. A sudden realization hits: this man is Black Phantom, an international hitman, a pro, known as the predator of women. Why is someone this dangerous here in Wuling? And who exactly is his next target? The elevator doors slide shut, cutting the encounter short. Hyeoji is left there, his mind filled with unanswered questions. A few moments later, he finally reaches the right office. Without a second thought, he walks right in. Yuna is already waiting for him. She doesn't exactly roll out the red carpet for her fiancé. In fact, she's annoyed, scolding him for not knocking first. Hyeoji doesn't even blink at her attitude. He just gives a thin smile and drops the documents on her desk. She doesn't even say thanks, just tells him to leave if he's done. Hyeoji lets out a small laugh, teasing her about her manners. Yuna doesn't bite, though her expression says more than her words. Before he goes, he drops a serious warning. Wuling isn't safe right now. Tell her not to go out alone. Yuna takes it the wrong way, acting like he's wishing her harm. Hyeoji stays calm, repeating that he's just looking out for her. Stay alert, he says, and walks out the door. Not long after, Hyeoji is back outside. Then, things suddenly take a turn. It is all about the way Yuna welcomes her guests. She says nothing back, but her expression tells a totally different story. The look on her face clashes with her words, plain as day. As Hyeoji starts to leave, he drops a serious warning. Wuling is dangerous right now. The situation is turning sour. He suggests she stay inside, avoid going out alone unless it is critical. Yuna takes it the wrong way, seeing his warning as a curse. Heoji just brushes it off, keeping things casual. He insists he is just looking out for her, wants her to be careful. With that, he turns and walks straight out of the room. Not long after, Heoji is outside the office when suddenly something happens. A race car tears down the street, engine screaming. Heading straight for him, it looks like a direct hit. But the tires screech to a halt right at his feet. Fong Ming leans out, waving him over. He wants Heoji to join his local street racing circuit. Heoji isn't feeling it, trying to walk away, but Fong Ming keeps pushing, dangling a prize right in front of him. 1 million yang split 50-50 if they take the win. Deep down, Heoji knows the truth. He's broke. He needs this cash badly. After a quick thought, he caves and jumps inside. Before they peel out, Heoji stares him down. He needs to know he's not being set up. Fong Ming just gives him a twisted, sharp grin. That look says everything. He's not playing games. The engine roars, and they blast toward the track. Through winding roads and sharp, dangerous turns, they drive. Finally, they hit the arena, where the crew gathers. They swarm the car, eyeing the stranger in the passenger seat. Who exactly did Fong Ming bring along? Fong Ming stays calm, introducing Heoji as his future brother-in-law. The crowd erupts into instant, biting mockery. Some blonde guy sneers, looking Heoji up and down. He calls him a parasite, just trying to leech off the Fong family. A guy in glasses adds to the fire. He mocks him for stealing the Wen family heir's fiancé. A woman joins in, spitting insults, calling him a snake. The situation spirals fast. Then this massive, thick-necked guy steps forward. He hits a nerve, openly trashing Heoji's late father. Heoji's entire expression shifts. He marches straight up to the brute. Nose to nose, the tension is heavy enough to break. The guy doesn't back down, just grins, feeling untouchable. But get this, the race is already starting. Time to put up or shut up. Before they lock in, Fong Ming pulls him aside. He warns him about Fei Zihu, the illegitimate son of boss Fei. Stay away from him. Don't even start anything. Heoji doesn't even blink. He couldn't care less. They roll up to the starting line. Fei is already inside his car, taunting them over the radio. He's barking threats, eyes locked on the rear view. Better be ready, he growls, for the fallout. If they dare to challenge him, there will be consequences. Heoji remains totally indifferent, just asking about the identity of the other racer. Feng Ming explains that the blonde guy is Jin Shixuan, a famous racer from the Jin family. Now a woman stands at the starting line and announces that the countdown is starting, and in a flash, the cars roar forward right as the race begins. Fei takes the lead immediately, but Heoji, sitting calmly, suggests that Feng Ming shouldn't chase too aggressively. Their opponent is intentionally pushing engine torque for speed, and it is getting incredibly dangerous out there. Heoji's hunch is right. Fei and Jin seem to be working together. To trap them, Feng Ming starts realizing that one car is purposely slowing down to create an opening, like they are trying to wreck them. Heoji concludes that if this keeps up, they are definitely going to finish in dead last. As they hit a curve, Heoji warns again that they are being targeted. He stresses that just making it down safely would be lucky enough. Feng Ming feels insulted and dares Heoji to drive himself if he thinks he is that much better. Without a second thought, Heoji pulls Feng Ming over and switches their positions. Now, he is the one in control of the wheel. Even though Feng Ming protests, Heoji ignores him and focuses on closing the gap. As they approach a deadly curve with a cliff on the side, Feng Ming starts shaking and begs Heoji to hit the brakes. But Heoji just shows off his skills. He executes a drift with insane precision, clearing the corner at incredible speeds. Feng Ming, watching it all happen, is completely stunned. He starts praising Heoji nonstop, even changing how he addresses him with total awe. After that, they close in on Faye's car when FEI sees what is happening. He is shocked and cannot believe that Feng Ming's car could move that fast. He has no idea that the person behind the wheel is no longer Feng Ming, but Heoji instead. On the other side, Jin stays calm and starts planning his next move. He intends to take out Heoji's car at the next W-shaped turn. Inside the car, Feng Ming again warns that there is a sharp W-shaped turn just ahead. Heoji actually looks relaxed, sipping a drink, making him panic even more. Then Heoji says it clearly, the real show is only just beginning. He slams the gas, pushing his car faster and faster. The engine roars as they close in on the corner. The gap between the cars is shrinking, getting dangerously tight now. FEI is dead set on blocking every single inch of the road. No way he is letting Heoji get past him. But Heoji pulls a crazy move, forcing his way into the narrow gap. Just like that, they are neck and neck. FEI is shocked, then fuming at such a reckless, insane maneuver. He floors it, swearing right then and there, Heoji will never beat him. This race is hitting its absolute peak. Both cars scream as they tear into the turn at high speed. Watch this, they are neck and neck drifting with equal power. Neither side is giving an inch in this drift battle. And it is clear, their fight is still nowhere near over. From the word finish,